Hello everyone, Fluffy Waffles here, and the Gen 1 KVK has started, so we can take a look at the next season's KVK mechanics. So we have Fellowship, right? We have Fellowship, so you gain buffs from nearby Fellowship legions. You can lend and borrow legions, so let's see if I can create one right now. And then also there's Mastery skills. So here you can see here lending. You can lend an entire legion, so this is going to be like 2 heroes, an artifact, the troops, and the pet, so like the entire legion. So let's see here. After creating a legion enabling legion lending toggle, legions that are located in your city will automatically lent out. So you can see here it's showing a full march with artifact and a pet. You can borrow legions lent out by other players via the legion deployment tab. So yep, that's how that works. So on the first stage, you can lend 1 legion. In the last stage, fellowship members can lend 2 legions, which can be borrowed up to 10 times. A fellowship member can borrow up to 2 legions at a time. So you can borrow two legions at a time at the end of it. So pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. Again, we have the teleportation again. You have the 10% attack for gain 10% when you range of fellowship legions in the field. So this looks like a permanent buff. This is pretty good. So you want to pick someone in your fellowship that you know will be online when you're playing, so you get that 10% attack buff. Pretty solid. So this is actually 15%. So there's a 5% attack right here. The first stage, the second stage is 10%. You get 15% attack if you stay within range of a fellowship member. You gain more prestige. Members gain 5% of any prestige gained by another fellow member. So when your fellowship gains prestige, you get a little bit more prestige. So yeah, so that's pretty cool. Let's take a look. I'll take a look at the mastery skills in a minute, but season policies. So pretty standard. You pick one or the other for one of these 3. Other healing stuff is pretty standard. So right here it's pretty cool. You get to the army group stuff. So more merits or more defense when you create an army group. Here you get to choose either between the infantry army group, which is a chance to take less damage and deal more counterattack, or you can choose the cavalry army group, which gives you less damage when you're rushing, and also your unyielding rush skill is reduced by 20%. So both great skills. I would say the infantry one's a bit easier to use. But yeah, so there's that. So share the road, increases march speed when you're in camp or alliance territory. So this is pretty cool. 10% attack. Sorry, 10% movement speed when you're in your camp's territory. Okay. Express transport. Okay, so we get this back. We get the instant ghost. So you can pay some pet coins for instant ghost. Ghost back. Okay, pretty cool. Random location. So this is a new policy. You'll be relocated to a random location in your current region. Random location attempts +3, so it's limited. So you can do this 3 times. It looks like. Interesting they put a limit on it. Okay, so you still will need to use the TP bomb towers if you want to do more than 3 attempts. What is this? Receive a discount when purchasing items for fellowship. Oh, so you can purchase merit shop items for your fellowship. Okay, and then we get to the counter inf, counter cav, counter marksman, counter magic. This is pretty standard right here with private practice. Gain spend prestige to gain elixir. So if you have extra prestige, you can trade it for elixirs. The diligence, reprieve, and benevolence are standard. Nothing's changed here. Same thing as before. Here you can choose between getting merit or elixir when your units die. Light of the beacon, that's pretty standard. Healing, pretty standard. Heeding the call. Reduces the cooldown of Legion teleport. So this is the Fellowship teleport. So you reduce the teleport by 180 seconds, and then you get the bitter end at the end. Okay, so pretty standard season policies, except for a couple of new things, right? And being the random teleport, and obviously this is actually really fun for players to get their ghost back instantly. That's cool. Mastery skills. So obviously we get mastery skills this season. You get 5. Let's take a look at the pool of mastery skills. So we have Atheist skill, Sanctified Wings. So this is HP and healing and flying. This is a Craig skill, so it increases attack. All-Wind skill, Light of Swordland. So this is good. This is a really good skill, so I'm happy that this is here. Light of Swordland is really strong. Legion is over 50% units. They gain synergy for and passion. So that's very strong. I'm excited to see that one. The Bakara skill is just flat stats. Preemptive strike, 1 win. This is pretty decent too. When you're above 50% unit count, deal more damage. It's pretty decent. Waldir, just stats. So we get Lilia's Deep Burn, which is flat stats. We get Velen's skill damage and March speed. So this is pretty good. This is a really good one. So while in the field, you get more skill damage and you gain March speed. So I think it's 20% when it's maxed. We can take a look at the main account in a minute. But so this is a great one. So this would be very helpful to sync cavalry speed marches together, especially when you're using the new G5 cavalry, Agnar and Freya. So this is really very good skill to use on them. Watcher's Blade, Emery. So this is a good skill as well. More rage regeneration. This is Nika's infantry skill. Okay, this is also a good one from Thea. Increases attack by 30%. And take less skill damage. So this is a pretty good one as well. This is Eliana's skill. Take less normal attack damages. I think it goes up to 20%. It's pretty decent. So this is pretty good for Kanara. When hit with when legions hit with a normal attack, they have 20% gain physical riposte and inflict slow. So this increases counter damage. So this is good for any kind of counter attack damage setup you want to do. So this would be strong for some tanks for sure, and so this will be a pretty good skill to use for sure. Feather Strike, this is a Cinerion skill, so more normal attack, crit, and HP. So this would be good for archers for sure. Locked and Loaded, normal attacks. So more normal attacks. This will be good for archers as well. I can see it being good for Ming. Gormor. Ming does a lot of normal attack damage, I believe. I could be wrong. Blanking for a minute, but yeah, this is definitely good for archers. Aiming high, so this is 400 skill, so you get attack bonus entering battle. Okay, not bad. Royal Wit, so this is a garrison skill, so it could be strong to put it on a hero for a garrison. This is a rally skill. This could be decent to put on a rally pairing. Could be decent. I'll have to take a deeper dive into that one. And the last one is Bertrand's skill. When hero deals skill damage, they gain stack up. Each stack up increases shield damage. So this could be good for Ming for sure, and some other heroes. So that's pretty cool, interesting. This could be good for Freya and Agnar as well. They do a lot of hero skill damage in succession, so that would stack up pretty fast as well. I can see that working well on Ming and the G5 Cavalry. Pretty cool, pretty cool. So those are the mastery skill pools for the Gen 1 KVK. It is possible that these mastery skills pool does change for Gen 2 and Gen 3, so it is possible that we don't get the same exact skill pool, but we won't know until we enter. But for now, we can just speculate that it's likely that we do get the same mastery skills, but it is subject to change, so just keep that in mind. What else can we take a look at? Can't see the Augur Stone because I'm not high enough level. Let's take a look at the map. The KVK map. Let's see here, we can't take a look at the map yet because I want to see what pass one was, if it was a statue or if it was a zone 2 fight. Let's take a look. We do have statues. Okay, so I can't really see that quite yet. But yeah, so just want to give you guys a first look at the fellowship and the mastery skills and the season policies. Let's see if there's anything different with the conquest achievements. You get, let's see here. So healing. So you still get the one amber for healing 15 million troops. It's pretty standard. You get an extra amber for 12 million merits. Okay, so 2 there. 1 amber for holding the necro. 1 amber for holding the dragon. 1 amber for season summary when you get 500 million merits with your alliance. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 5 total if you win dragon. Let's see what else there is. And there's an extra one if you win dragon with your camp by season summary. Occupy Flame Dragon with your camp by season summary, so you can gain 6 embers this season if you win. So this is a warband. This is a warband. Warband, and this is a camp. The good thing is I do believe we get the coalition where you can warband within your camp this season. So I think if you're winning this season with your camp, you should be able to get everything. So it's 6 embers, pretty solid. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you guys found this video helpful to prepare for Gen 2 and Gen 3 KVK. I'll go ahead and try to post my thoughts on combinations to use with mastery skills and heroes. But yeah, thank you. So let's take a look at some mastery skill setups for the cavalry heroes. So look at the first one is Freya. Freya has a rally skill, so that makes it's a no-brainer to replace that skill with a mastery skill. And there are 3 good options for Freya. You can do Light of Soarland, which gives you more synergy and skill damage when you're above 50% units. You can also use Compound Interest from Bertrand, so when your hero does skill damage, they gain 1 stack of Golden Mark, 3 stacks max. You get 10% skill damage for each stack, so maximum 30% skill damage. This is really strong, I think, for Freya because her Rage skill does multiple attacks, so you can really get this stacked up really fast, right? She does 4 skill damage attacks in the first skill damage, so you can really stack up this really fast with Freya. So I think this is definitely the go-to move for Freya. Where's Bertrand at? It's to use this compound entrance. So each time you deal hero skill damage, you gain 1 golden mark, and then you stack that up almost instantly when your Freya does skill damage. Similarly, I know this guy is for Cavs, but if you are talking about this skill right now, this skill also works really, really well with Ming, because every time you launch a normal attack, Ming does skill damage, right? So this would be really good for Ming as well, but not to get sidetracked with mage units right now. Let's stick with the cavalry. So that's the second option. The third option is to use Thea's skill. So when in the field, 50% more skill damage, and you gain 20% march speed. So this is also very strong for Freya and Agnar because, as you guys all know, they are a bit slower than the other Cav hero pairings. So if you want to use Freya and Agnar together and also speed sync your calves with the other calves, this is probably a must skill to use to get that 20% march speed. That way you can sync your calves. So this is another skill I think a lot of people will be using other than compound interest, which is pretty good, 30%, but then this makes the quality of life a lot better. You still get 15% hero skill damage and 20% march speed. So I think this is a good contention to use as well. We'll talk about more later and the setups for the 5 marches. For Bakshi has a peacekeeping skill, so obviously you replace that. Light of Soarland is a good option there. Aiming high from Warndale is a good option as well, 40% attack. When you enter battle, it's a lot of And then the Guanwin skill is also pretty strong when you're above 50% troops. You get 10% more damage. And then also Thea's skill is also a strong option here as well. So that's for Bakshi. So those of you guys who have been following me, you know that I use Fulgrim in my Cavalry pairing. Fulgrim does a lot of damage. Unfortunately, he does have one archer specific skill. So that's unfortunate, but he still works really well with my Urag Fulgrim setup. And with mastery skills, I can now replace that archer skill with a skill that actually works. So that makes the Urag Fulgrim a lot stronger. So those of you guys that use Fulgrim, you can pair it with another skill. So Light of Soarland works really well. Perfection of Form works well. This is the movement speed. So you can, if you do Urag Fulgrim and you put the movement speed on this pairing, you can drop some speed in the Urag tree to go more skills, and then still be able to speed sync and still have all that damage. So this is a good option as well. And then you can also pick the Forendale skill, 40% attack when you enter battle. So what I mean by the Urag skill tree, right? So right now I'm running a setup like this to have the speed sync correct. So I have 10 movement speed here, right? So if I were to take the 20% move speed and 50% skill damage skill on Fulgrim, I could essentially drop this whole part of the PvP tree because I don't need that 10% movement speed. I can take out the 6% here. And then I can fully max out the skills tree, right, and get more damage, and still speed sync, so that's an option, right? So that's an option if you don't use that speed skill on your Freya Agnar. The other hero is Lei Shin. Lei Shin has a garrison skill, so you obviously want to replace that. A lot of the options are pretty similar for all the Cav heroes, so you can use Light of Soarland or Oracle's Grace or Aiming High, all good options. And then finally, for Tobin, Tobin has a rally skill, so you replace a rally skill, or you can replace it with Light of Soarland, Oracle's Grace, or Aiming High. So yeah, those are all the options for the 5 heroes that you want to replace skills on. They either have a rally talent, a garrison talent, an archer talent, or a peacekeeping talent. And then let me share with you guys what I would likely use as my setup. Alright, so here's the setup I'm thinking about right now. Obviously this is all subject to change, especially if these mastery skills change, but obviously this is all based on preference and you can interchangeably change all of these around as you wish. So the bottom setup here, this is the setup I used all last season, as you can see, because Agnar and Freya have a lower movement speed. As a pairing, I split them into Nea, Agnar, and Forendale Freya. That way I can sync my 5 marches together. So if I were to run that same setup, I would use, I'm missing 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm missing a skill on my picture right here. So Aiming High, if for Forendale, I would use Compound Interest on this one. So you don't see the picture, but I would use Compound Interest for the Freya because, as I mentioned before, Freya does stack that Compound Interest a lot faster. So in this setup, down the bottom, Forendale Freya would have Compound Interest. My Tobin Lei Shin would have the Oracle's Grace, especially because with the support march that they are and blinking, they take more damage, so taking less damage would be nice. For Embers Bakshi, they would take the Aiming High. Perfection form, I would use this on Urag Fulgrim, and then I can drop the movement speed on Urag's talents tree and use more skills tree, like the full skills trees, and then also Urag and Fulgrim do a lot of AoE damage, so that extra 50% skill damage plus the extra skills tree talents will really increase that skill damage, the damage for that pairing together. In Light of Soarland, obviously Nea and Agnar do a lot of damage together, so I wanted to stack that damage even more with more skill damage when they're above 50% and more rage accumulation, so just giving them a lot of damage output when they're above 50%, so that's the goal there. As you can see in the setup up top, this is where I now combine Agnar and Freya together, And then I use the Perfection of Form to gain that 20% move speed, so you can use Agnar, Freya, Skills Tree, and still get about 52% move speed to sync with all the other cast. So this is a pretty strong pairing with that skill together. So very strong. You get the full skills tree plus a 50% hero skill damage, and you sync with your cavalry. So this is a strong setup right here. For Arundel Tobin, I would use Oracle's Grace. For Bakshi Embers, I would use Compound Interest just to slowly stack up that 30% skill damage. For Urag Fulgrim, I would go with aiming high, because when this pairing does a lot of damage, especially when they first enter combat, especially with Urag doing that AoE. So I wanted to have that extra 40% attack when he first enters battle, to just pop off like crazy. So that's why I put that there. And obviously because Elation, Nea, Elation, and my maxed out Orc Warhound do a lot of damage together, I wanted to give them the Light of Sorland. But you could also change this around. You can put aiming high on Nea, Elation, and give Urag Fulgrim the Light of Sorland, because, you know, as I said, this pairing does do a lot of AoE damage, so it's not a bad option to do. So from initial thoughts, this is likely what the mastery skills will look like on my 5 Cavalry, depending on if I run the setup right here or the setup on the bottom. You can't go wrong either way. There are pros and cons to both. That's just based on preference, so it's really up to you guys. I give you guys the 2 options to run it how you want. For those of you that can't run Fulgrim, you can change it with a Marduk or a Mu, or, you know, any other pairing that works well too. But yeah, I hope you guys find this video helpful for cavalry setup, for mastery skills for the next KVK. I will try to work on posting a video for, you know, mages and infantry as well. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please drop a like, drop a comment, and subscribe. It really does help me out a lot. Thank you all.